So I'm just, when the holiday is in the middle of the week, it kind of screws you up. Actually, it wasn't in the middle of the week. It was on the other side of the hump because today's Thursday and we're still like, oh, is it real? Are we for real yet? Because of the holiday, right? And I'm still a little taken by the fact that the holiday was on a Tuesday, which means the birthday of America was on Taco Tuesday, and that should mean something to all you right wingers out there who are like so aghast that we got a southern border crisis. It was Taco Tuesday. That was the day we let them in. I think we forgot about it. That would have been terrible. I mean, it is terrible. Welcome to Emil Amok's Takeout. My takes on all things considerable. This is my micro talk show for the AAPI and the AAXs. It's not just for Asian Americans. It's for ALLs, all's the rest of you out there, because I talk about real things. We have the subtext running through the show. What does an Asian American think? What does an Asian American? Well, this is where you find out right here on our show. We do this Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific, and I talk about, I talk about things that come up that get me. This is your standard news talk kind of in the old sense of news talk. I know we've gone through all sorts of things now with the internet. Actually, because of the internet, we can do this micro version or this micro talk show, because in the old days, they'd say, Emil, you want to do your micro talk show, you're going to have to buy a radio station in Midland, Texas or someplace, or buy a low power station that, like a 6-block radius in Northern California or something. But no, we could do this, and we can build a listenership one ear at a time, one earlobe at a time. You can watch us, of course, on YouTube, Emil Amok 1 on YouTube, on Twitter at Emil Amok if you're on Twitter. I don't know. I guess we're soon to be on Threads. This is the first day of Threads. People are going crazy about Threads. Twitter has like 230 million users on a daily basis, and already Threads has 30 million because Zuckerberg is like leveraging his Instagram folks and saying, here's Threads. I'll probably end up there somewhere at some point. It's as long as there's no learning curve. I mean, I'm here on Facebook because I don't have to learn Facebook. Just throw it on there. And of course, you can catch us on amok.com. That was the other thing I was working on this morning, because my website was down because of an excessive amount of Emil. And you need more storage. And I said, okay, well, how many gigabytes for my ego? And so we're working on that. Actually, the site is up, amok.com. I'll update it in a bit. This is episode 552. Welcome to it. Hey, a lot going on. But before we get to Nauta, I mean, I'm getting bothered now by people calling him Walt Nata. He's Nauta or Nauta. You can get that. You got to get the U in there. It's not Nata, which makes it sound like Nada, like N-A-D-A. Nada. That's how much he's worth. Nada. No, Nauta. He's from Guam. But if you go back deep into the roots, it's Chamorro, Filipino, Guam. That's Nauta's problem. And I'll get to that in a second. But first, I need to talk to you about the Exit Theater. They put out a press release on the 5th. And at 277 Taylor Street, I know you drive by there and say, Emil, I just see nothing. I see homeless people in tents. No, that's a theater, 277 Taylor Street. And we're doing a show there. Exit Theater. It's the new home. It's not where you knew where the exit was before. They sort of went around the corner. If you know the Exit Theater, 277 Taylor Street. Come see what they're talking about. Why is San Francisco in trouble? Why are people leaving? Why do the homeless people love San Francisco? Come to the Exit Theater, 277 Taylor Street, and you'll see why. And you'll catch my show if you come on Saturday, August 12th at 7 p.m. Thursday, August 17th at 8:30 p.m. and Saturday, the 19th at 1 p.m. So I'm doing my show 3 times there. It's Emil Amok, lost NPR host, found in San Francisco, native son. So it's a little different version than the Emil Amok, lost NPR host that I did in February in New York City. It was a good show. Still give me a good show, but I changed things up for the audience that's there. And for the place where I'm at, I'm going to be in my hometown, San Francisco. So it should be a good show. Should be. I hope it's a good show. Oh, we're rehearsing day and night, doing voice lessons. No, but it's going to be a good show. If you Google Emil Amok, lost NPR host, you'll see a couple of good reviews. More than a couple of good reviews. The Manhattan Digest, it's not exactly the New York Times, but the Manhattan Digest said, hey, this is a good show. Good show. The recent one, the recent iteration, and now some San Francisco things. I got to mention where I am. So August 12th, 7 p.m., Saturday. Thursday, August 17th, 8:30 p.m. Saturday, August 19th, 1 p.m. Exit Theater, the San Francisco Fringe Festival. Emil Amok, lost NPR host, three times I'm doing the show. Now, funny, I notice how some fringes are like they're hiring a big heavyweight anchor type performer. I just saw that Rochester Fringe, which was a fringe that I thought about going to since I was going to be in the area in New York. They've brought on Tig Notaro, which is great. I love Tig. She's one of my favorites. Honest to God, I love Tig Notaro. And before and after and during, all throughout, I love Tig Notaro. I've watched all their stuff, and that would be great. But in a way, it's like there's a headliner to be like a magnet. I get it. Washington, D.C., I did the Capitol Fringe 2019. They brought in Mike Daisey. It kind of helped everyone. Actually, just brought more attention to the Fringe, which is great. But I don't know if he helped me sell tickets. But no, and I love Mike too. Mike Daisey. Love Mike Daisey. A teacher of mine. So, so good luck to the Rochester Fringe. But the San Francisco Fringe, where I'm appearing next in August, they're doing it the old-fashioned way. Just a bunch of different acts. It sounds fascinating. And already I've heard from some people who got the release and say, you're going to be there, Emil? Yeah, I'm going to be there. 277 Taylor Street, August 12th, Saturday, August 12th at 7 p.m., Thursday the 17th at 8:30 p.m., and Saturday the 19th at 1 p.m. And, maybe if you're within the Bay Area, Northern California, or within the state, it would be worth to come up and see, is what they're saying about San Francisco true? Like it's going to if it were going to the dogs and you're a dog lover, that's not a bad thing. But if you think that, San Francisco's in trouble, I don't know. Maybe you ought to see it for yourself. And then have a native son like me kind of like talk about it. Because I talk about that. I talk about my dad, how my dad was there, how it's about me. It's about Filipino history. It's about American history. It's about colonialism. And it's about how to rid yourself of all that. How to make yourself feel better about your history. That's an enticing kind of... Well, and today when we talk about Nata, it's all about history. Anyway, the San Francisco Fringe Festival, 277 Taylor Street. If you want tickets, you can get tickets now. go to Eventbrite, EVENTBRITE, I believe, eventbrite.com. Put down San Francisco Fringe, Emil, Amok, EMIL, AMOK, 2 words, and get your tickets. It's fun. It's exciting, and it's live. It's live, and none of this mask up, baby. None of this. Oh, you're muted. You're muted. None of that. No, we're live. We're live. Should be fun. Before we move on, a quick birthday note. Two of my favorite, semi-favorite people, my mother-in-law and an old friend from like, like we were tykes, birthdays. So my mother-in-law, Nancy Sorrell, is 90 today. And I'm here with the dogs and the gong, and everyone else is with Nancy to celebrate. And I got the video, the early video, and great early video of Nancy being serenaded by 2 bagpipers, which kind of sounds like, it sounds like a crime being enacted. Serenaded by 2 bagpipers? No. You're confusing that video they took in LA. That was bad. No, she is actually being serenaded by 2 bagpipers. It's great. And I said, this is wonderful. When are they going to do happy birthday? And I got texted back. They said, Emil, that was happy birthday. Oh, it was the Scottish accent. I'm sorry. Anyway, mother-in-law looked great. Wonderful. 90. And she looked, and actually I'm closer to her in age than I am, some of my younger, listeners, readers. So a certain kinship there. And also a good happy birthday to my friend WG, just putting out the initials there. I don't want you bombarded by people who say, hey, I heard your name mentioned on that kind of show. WG, birthday, happy birthday. So lots of people born around July 4th. And you wonder if your birthday's around July 4th, does it make everything kind of like anticlimactic? There's July 4th and it's your birthday. Is it, hey man, I'm sorry, man, we ran out of fireworks, but here's a couple of sparklers. Oh, wow. I mean, you might feel bad about that, but maybe it's just that everyone's in, like, when the holiday is on a Tuesday or Wednesday, they don't know when to celebrate your birthday. And then it's like, oh, it's the whole week. We're celebrating freedom and independence and my birthday. It's great. Anyway, so I want to put that out there to those people who mean something to me. And now, so today the big story is, Nata. And if you haven't been following, or maybe you thought, oh, thank goodness, we're not going to dwell anymore on this Trump stuff. But it's important to dwell on the Trump stuff and the indictments. But in particular, if you're a person of color, to think about Nata. And notice I said it the American way, Nata, N-A-T-A, as if that U is silent. It's N-A-U-T-A, so it's Nauta. And if you say it fast, it's Nauta. I just want to, look, I'm the guy who says, if you say my name, Guillermo, you're with me. But if you say Guillermo, them are fighting words. You're honoring the colonizer. We don't honor the colonizer. And I think that's really the problem with Waltine, Nauta, and that's his colonized mind. I mean, you think about how Guamanians are, how they're situated in history, right? They're like an afterthought. right? There's indigenous Chamorro, but it's been the Chamorro and the Filipinos came in like 1500. And so you look at Nauta and you say, yeah, there's Filipino in there. You know, that kind of husky boy look. You know, a friend of mine used to look just like that because he shaved his head. He had since grown his hair back. And if you can imagine Nauta with hair, he'd look like he'd have that cute boy, beach boy look, right? Dark, straight hair. He'd make all us Filipino guys look like him. But now he shaved his head. Now he looks like he's got that cue ball look going. And he's like beefed up, right? Because he was in the Navy. But think of the Guamanian situation. You're still a territory. You want out of the country or you want off the island. That's why a lot of people enlist. He enlisted in the Navy. When you enlist in the Navy, the highest rank is Chief Petty Officer, right? Ensign around those ranks. You're not an officer, but in the enlisted ranks, that, chief, right? But for some, lucky enough, they get to the highest point really is serving in the White House with the commander in chief. So this is a big deal. And, it comes with a kind of glamour. Hey, I brought the president Cokes, his Diet Cokes. I mean, this has long been a top position for Filipinos, for Guamanians, for people who they have this in their blood, right? They're going to be stewards. They're going to be in the service trades, in the Navy, and there they are. And so I've got to think that all this plays into how well Nata thinks about himself, and it all serves the question, why hasn't he flipped yet? I mean, he's running out of flipping time. I don't know what else he has to bargain with at this point, because the latest story today, Donald Trump's personal aide, Walt Nauta, pleaded not guilty. What else? I mean, he's gone this far. He's got to plead not guilty to charges that he schemed with his boss to hide classified documents from authorities at Mar-a-Lago, the former president's Florida residence and private club. This is from the Washington Post. The government has accused Nauta, 40, of moving boxes containing top secret government materials at Mar-a-Lago for the former president, and then helping hide the documents from federal officials who demanded them back. The arraignment in Miami federal court had been postponed from last month because Nauta did not have the necessary local Florida attorney to help represent him. Nauta's plea was entered by his DC-based lawyer, Stan Woodward, who, incidentally, is paid for by a Trump PAC. They were joined by his new local lawyer, Sasha Dadan, who has worked in the free attorney section of the county, right? That was reported today. He pleaded not guilty, or Trump pleaded not guilty on June 13th. So we talked about this. Nata should have known at that point, he was left high and dry. But since the indictment of Trump back in June 13th, a month later, did he lawyer up? Not exactly. And he's got a local lawyer. He's still got the Trump lawyer. At some point, he's going to realize that his interests and Trump's interests are no longer joined, but are parallel. And at some point, they diverge. And I think the only reason why he is on this parallel, Trump and I together kind of mindset, is because of colonial mentality. I mean, if you have a problem thinking about it, think about that. Think about Guam's relationship to the U.S., how Guamanians see themselves. I mean, they are a territory. They have a representative who can't vote in Congress. They can't vote. They can vote for the representative who can't vote. They can't even vote for the presidency. They are kind of like toy Americans. It's kind of sad when you understand this. I mean, the Philippines, because of 1898, the Spanish-American War, they were able to fight they fought in the Philippine-American War later and lost and were a colony, but then were granted their independence. Guam kind of came along for the ride after the Spanish-American War and has always been seen as a kind of afterthought. Oh, and because of Guam, I think the United States was a little more magnanimous toward the Philippines. They ultimately said, we're going to let you go free. I mean, there were other circumstances going on, like the fact that there were 30,000 Filipinos in the U.S. between 1930 and 1950, and they were like Mexicans crossing the border today. There were anti-Filipinos, white people, who were making it a political act to get the Filipinos out. And the Philippines were lucky that they were able to have this kind of compromise. Oh, yeah, Filipinos can stay in America if you're in America, but the deal was, we'll give you your independence, Philippines. That's why some old timers celebrated July 4th as Independence Day, but the nationalists have, since they took over in the 40s and 50s, they said, screw this July 4th as Philippine independence. It's just Friendship Day. We'll celebrate the real independence. So, this whole thing about colonial mentality, it's real. And the Philippines still has a bit, but the residual effect, or the real effect, is still seen in Guam, where they did not get independence. They've got their play representative. They've got their people there who look at America as, oh, yeah, that's the mothership, but we don't count. We're just sort of like a filling station in the Pacific for jet fighters. And so here's Walt Nauta, who enlisted, got to serve in the Navy. He's retired Navy. He probably makes a pretty decent salary as a retired Navy. He's in his 40s, right? Or he's 40. He's making like $130,000 with Trump as his private valet because, connections. He's moving up. Well, one thing he still has, and you can see by the way he's acting here, he's got that colonial mentality. He's got that, venerable, honorable white man kind of disease. And so back to the story. Nauta was present at the brief hearing. Notice no motorcades. They had some press there. They wanted to get, CNN and others wanting to get that perp walk, showing up with his lawyer, and then coming back out, in and out of the building. They appeared before U.S. Magistrate Judge Edwin Torres. He said apparently he had a flight delayed, so that's why he was delayed. He spoke only once in court, Nauta, answering, "Yes, Your Honor," when the judge asked him if he had reviewed the charges against him. A loyal body man to Trump at the White House who continued to work for the former president in Florida, Nauta was indicted along with Trump on 5 criminal charges, including conspiracy to obstruct justice, concealing a document, and scheming to conceal a material fact in a federal investigation. Nauta was also charged with lying to the FBI, and Trump was charged with 31 counts of mishandling national defense information and 1 count of causing false statements to be made. So notice, lying to the FBI is really the big charge for Nauta here. And Nauta faces up to 20 years in prison if convicted of the most serious charges against him. So no one knows when the trial will actually begin. And once it's set to begin, it will be with Judge Eileen M. Cannon, the Colombian via Cuba, who's already shown her bias toward Trump. She set a trial date in August, but it may not happen if there's all these delays and all these pretrial motions. And that is the tactic of Trump. But now, it should mean that there could be time for Nauta to flip. But as I've mentioned in a previous show, Lawrence O'Donnell on his show on MSNBC has said, hey, look, there is no reason that Nauta should flip, because what is he bargaining for? As Lawrence pointed out, there is no minimum sentence. So even if he's found guilty, if he's favored in the same way that Trump is favored by Eileen Cannon, he could be found guilty and found, because there's no minimum sentence. How do you bargain for more than 0? So that's one theory that a friend of mine suggested that is true, except it presumes that Trump and Nata are in lockstep. And as I said, they're parallel now, but at some point, the interests may diverge. And at some point, maybe Trump will find there's a better way to go if it suits him. And that would be to say, oh, well, Nauta did everything. You saw him carrying the boxes. It wasn't me carrying the boxes. That was Nauta. Oh, it was his idea. Oh, he's the one who did it. And then you have the real power play. The multi-indicted former president and the colonial mentality burdened, well, Nauta, who has sway over Judge Eileen Cannon, who has sway over the jury. Now, maybe because all you need is one person to hang the jury, maybe someone in that very Trumpy area of Florida will say, yeah, Trump and Nauta, they don't deserve to be treated this way. But maybe someone say, well, Trump definitely doesn't deserve to be treated this way. But, Trump said that it was Nauta's fault. It's just not a place to be. It's not the good place to be if you're Walt Nauta. He had an opportunity before the indictments to plea, didn't do it, or to cooperate, to help, didn't do it. What did he choose instead? Loyalty. Loyalty and fealty to the venerable white man, his boss. You got to think colonial mentality played a role there. Because Walt Nauta doesn't appear to be acting in his best interests, because he sees his best interests as locked into Trump's best interests, how long? For how long? So, yeah, he's got his Florida attorney, former public defender, and she's based in Fort Pierce, according to reports. It's going to be 100 miles north of Miami. So Miami is a real more Democratic hotbed. Fort Pierce, much more Trumpy. The problem with the Dan is her main practice, criminal defense, family law, personal injury, traffic tickets. How about national security? It doesn't seem like Walt Nauta is lawyering up. Still, he maintains the PAC person, which is, here's the thing. If you're Walt Nauta, talk about being caught between a rock and a Trump place. You can't afford this fight. How do you afford the lawyers, let alone all the things that are required before you even get to trial? The research, just the travel alone. So I don't envy Waltine, Nauta. In fact, I just think that, God, I don't think there's a movement for lawyers on the good guy side to try to like offer him free advice or to take his case pro bono. I'm not a lawyer. He wouldn't want me. But they kind of caught him lying because they got video of him moving boxes. And remember, they got the video, and the whole thing about the boxes were moved because they didn't want the lawyer, they didn't want a government lawyer to come in and either find the boxes, or they wanted the government lawyer for the archive to say, oh, yeah, everything's satisfied. But apparently they got video of Nauta taking 60 boxes away and then bringing back 30 or so. What happened to the other boxes? So there's a new subpoena out there, or a new version of the indictment that came out with this hearing. So I'm going to do what Filipinos do when I'm going to say objective, but if you're prone to I want to have a little sympathy for Walt Nauta. I hope he knows something we don't know. I'm sure he knows something we don't know. I wish he would tell Jack Smith the thing that we don't know. I wish he would. So that maybe, because that's what you can guarantee. You can guarantee that, hey, look, I'm going to cooperate and I'm going to get leniency because I cooperate. If you go down the Trump train, there's no guarantee of that. No guarantee you'll be a scapegoat. Trump may ultimately get leniency. And I think maybe that's why people are saying the best bet for Trump is to win the election and then pardon yourself, which may be the only option left for Trump. Does now to trust Trump to pardon him. That's a gamble. Knowing how much Trump lies, if it meant my freedom, I wouldn't feel comfortable with that. I just wouldn't. So, the other story that caught my news today, big story about PFAS. These are forever chemicals, and they got this new study out that it's in our drinking water. They did a study of 45% of the faucets in the U.S. And it's incredible how much of this PFA stuff is in our water. They say half of the U.S. tap water is estimated to have one or more PFAS known as forever chemicals. The U.S. Geological Survey tested tap water from 76 locations, including 269 private wells and 447 public supply sites in all 50 states, Puerto Rico, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and the District of Columbia. They didn't say Guam, which makes me, this is one of the things about being a stepchild. That's the Guamanian mindset. It was all collected between 2006 and 2021. They found PFAS in at least 45% of the faucets. This is bad. And this is why it's good to have these surveys out, because it makes you appreciate what the Democrats are doing. I mean, the one word that Joe Biden is talking about all the time when he's talking about Bidenomics and helping the country, he's talking about infrastructure. Like, that's important. You know, it's our roads, it's our water supply, it's what makes America, America, right? That we're supposed to be free of this. And what makes a country third world is not necessarily the politics. It's, does the country work physically? I mean, telephone booths, you still have telephone booths? Does it have Wi-Fi? Does it have cable? Does it have, is everything wired? Are the bridges on the verge of collapsing? Are there potholes everywhere? How's the water? And there were so many reversals during the Trump administration on everything about the EPA and Clean Water Act. And so it doesn't surprise me that the U.S. Geological Survey tested the water from people's sinks and they found these PFAS. First of all, we have so many PFAS because they're allowed in so many products that are deemed safe that then go into homes, and we wash these things, and they come out of our Teflon pans and whatnot. And so we're talking about urban areas, industrial waste sites, more likely to have higher levels, but you'll find exposures in the Great Plains, Great Lakes, Eastern Seaboard, Central and Southern California, especially. I'd be alarmed. I'd take seriously our clean drinking water. That's one of the benefits about living in the first world, right? Not only do you have democracy, but you have the kind of democracy that says, hey, you deserve clean air and you deserve clean water. And if you don't have it, shame on the corporates and their lobbyists who prevent the kind of necessary work done so that we can have clean water assured. I mean, so what happens when you can't rely on clean water? I mean, clean water, non-potable water is fine, I guess, for bathing. Just close your mouth. But for drinking, I guess everything that used to be free cost, right? Like TV used to be free over the air, right? Broadcast, and people used to complain, oh man, the perception is bad. Oh, there's this thing called cable. Oh, but we got to dig underneath your roads and put these cables in everyone's houses. Oh, okay. Oh, we got to put a satellite dish. Anyway, it's a long way to get from where we were to where we are now. Now we're cutting the cord of cable and we're getting everything through the air. If you have broadband, and now suddenly free TV that used to be free. Now people are saying, I'm paying $200 for TV now. $200. So I think it's going to happen with water too. Water used to be, oh, we can assume it's coming out of the tap. It's good tasting. It's not just free of PFAS, but it's free. Now it's not free of PFAS, and soon you'll be paying for it. I thought about that when I saw this obit over the weekend. I'm a big obit reader because, you get a sense of people's lives, and they put all the best reporters who've gotten old. They put them on the obit beat. And I think they realize that, hey, this is kind of a scam because I get to write history and the record of some interesting people that no one knows about. And I can go home at night and not have to worry about how many indictments does Trump have today. I don't have to worry about world politics. I just have to worry about getting the facts right about the guy who put Fiji water into square bottles. I mean, that's who died. David Gilmour died recently, 91. David Gilmour, 91, an entrepreneur who put Fiji water in square bottles. So if your water is bad, I think I pay a little extra for Fiji water. And so I'm reading his obit. It's kind of fascinating. David Gilmour, a Canadian-born entrepreneur who in the 90s built a luxury resort on Wakaya, a tiny island he owned in Fiji, and then created Fiji Natural Artesian Water, turning a local resource into a leading bottled brand, died on June 11th in Manhattan. I guess he didn't love Fiji that much for, wanted medical care. He was 91. Cause was cardiac arrest, according to a friend. So he had a lot of businesses, and then he escaped to the South Pacific. He saw some people drinking at his resort Evian water. And he said, quote, "There's something wrong with this picture." And his wife said, "What do you mean?" He said, "We're on our own island and they're drinking water from Lake Geneva. I know that with Fiji's rainfall, there must be a greater water source." And he found it on the Fijian island of Viti Levu, with water rich in the mineral silica. He began putting it in square bottles. He said about the Fijian rain, there's no acid rain, no industrial pollution, no pesticides. It's the purest virgin ecosystem. Fiji is now the second largest imported water brand in the U.S. after San Pellegrino, according to the Beverage Marketing Corporation. So, I started drinking Fiji water a couple of years ago, not religiously. There are people who drink Fiji water religiously. But knowing the story about Fiji water, putting that clean water into square bottles, makes me say, hey, I'm with you. I'll pay the extra. Now you'll definitely pay the extra money if you know that the tap water all has PFAS. Here's the ultimate irony about those PFAS in the tap water. A lot of the bottled water comes from tap. It doesn't come from artesian springs. I mean, unless it says it does, most of the bottled water is from tap, and they're selling to you. It's no purer than, well, they may put it through a purifier. Good luck. So anyway, that's the water story. The other story I want to talk about today, it kind of hit me, and it was from, now I got to find it. Oh my God. It's from the, from New Scientist. I like New Scientist because it's just filled with news that you wouldn't ordinarily get. but it pointed out that just because you are high in BMI doesn't mean you're going to die. I mean, that's the assumption. If you're overweight, you're going to die. I mean, it is the assumption. Here's a news story. Having an overweight BMI may not lead to an earlier death. A large U.S. study has found that being overweight but not obese carried a slightly lower risk of dying within the study period than being a supposedly healthy weight. So what that signals to me is that if you're fat and you've been shamed into exercising or doing all that, oh, I got, my body weight, my BMI is too high. Well, the BMIs are all skewed, so they're going to show you as overweight even though you're not. So, but the reality is being overweight may not be so bad for your health after all. This new evidence from this large study where people who were classed as overweight but not obese had a slightly lower rate of death than people with a supposedly ideal weight. So the conclusion is, or the hint is, that the threshold at which individuals are classed as overweight has been set too low. So you're not fat. And if someone suggests you're fat, they're fat shaming you, screw them. This article in the New Scientist says, just because you're a little overweight doesn't mean you're unhealthy. Doesn't mean you're going to die earlier. What it means is maybe if there's a correlation between fat and any kind of disease or early death, it may be where the fat is located, they're saying now, which is an important distinction. So they haven't interpreted all the data yet, but basically it's just good news for the fat people who are being fat shamed into exercising. You don't have to do it. Just because you're a little overweight doesn't mean you're going to die early. That's what the news story suggests. And when your friends want to make you feel bad, just say, hey, look, I'm on the Lizzo diet of success. And just hell with them. So lastly, God, I'm still upset about, what am I upset? Still upset about the affirmative action thing. Check out my columns on the Aldef blog. I've been thinking a lot about what can be done now. Well, we know they left the loophole about using the essay. And I say that as much in my column on the Aldef blog. But the other thing about affirmative action, I think my friend in his post, Richard Prince, in Journalisms, he included my essay in his website column. He talks about people of color. He said, look, people of color take this stuff seriously, or take this stuff personally. And when you've been living all your life underneath this idea of affirmative action and about the idea of what is the country going to do now to make up for what it's done to all people of color in the past? Well, first of all, it wasn't all people of color in the past. It was just black people they were looking out for. They didn't know about Filipinos. But I know because I read where the dean of Harvard during my years saw that in admissions and in experience, Filipinos were seen much more like blacks. So what this points out to is the Asian Americans who were used by Ed Bloom and all the anti-affirmative action types to overturn affirmative action, Hey, with their 4.0s, they claimed discrimination and they got rid of it. But now no one asked them, number one, did they all, after getting rejected from Harvard, did they go to the poorhouse? Did they suddenly found no place that would accept them? Because I would find it hard to believe that there was any harm to these people who were rejected at Harvard. I mean, like I said, it's not a big deal if you got rejected from Harvard, but then, hey, you got accepted into your number 2 school, Yale. I mean, where's the harm? I think that's one of the issues that's missing when people talk about affirmative action. But Richard Prince points out, hey, look, people of color take affirmative action seriously, and when it's rolled back and it's no longer applicable, I mean, it's a signal about where this country is going race-wise. And it's not a good place. It's not a good place because the Supreme Court really didn't do what they thought. I mean, really, when you say you can't mention race, but then you say you could use it in an essay, kind of haven't really corrected the thing. So they're posturing. On top of that, they use the 14th Amendment, the Equal Protection Clause, and that may not even be applicable here because Harvard is not a state actor. Harvard is a private college, private entity. Equal Protection Clause doesn't really apply to them. So there's all sorts of things that make you want to say, what the hell is going on here? But schools are trying to figure out, well, how do we comply? Here's the bottom line. I think they're going to have to come up with a way that redefines merit. What is merit? And how does, I mean, I get this now. I didn't get it before. People were saying, well, if we include class, we'll get all the poor people who will be of various colors if we just go by class and not race. And that way we have a proxy for race. And I was usually quick to criticize it because it doesn't address racial concerns. Because even rich people who'd be excluded from that, rich people of color still find themselves excluded. So it's not perfect, but in the broader sense of things, maybe it is a way. So anyway, I'm still thinking about all this and look for my suggestion on how they should apply the ruling as well as actually admit students in my next columns coming up next week. I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about things. That's all I can do is you gotta think about things. All right, so we're gonna end with the big commercial. Don't forget. Oh, I gotta, I'm gonna bring up the meditation when we meditate because, I talk about Marianne Williamson a lot because not that she's my favorite candidate, she might be. I mean, I like Marianne Williamson. I like to meditate, and I'll talk about that when we get in a couple seconds in our meditation section when we close out. But let me end with our commercial. Exit Theater, 277 Taylor Street. The San Francisco Fringe Festival is coming. Get tickets to my show 3 times. My show runs. August 12th is Saturday, 7 p.m. That sounds like a good one. It'll still be bright outside. You can still see all the, how bad is San Francisco? You can see for yourself, walk into the theater and come in. And then you could be one of the lucky housed people during my performance. And you go back out 7 p.m. It's a 55-minute show. Saturday, August 12th, Emil, Amok, lost NPR host. And then Thursday the 17th, 8:30 p.m. at night, a little trickier. Should be fun. This is one of those, you'll laugh, you'll cry, you'll want to have a colonoscopy. Saturday the 19th, 1 p.m. That would be the safe show, right? 1 p.m. coming in after lunch, or maybe before lunch or after brunch. Exit Theater, 277 Taylor Street. It's sort of around the corner from where it used to be. Emil, Amok, a one-man show. Tickets at eventbrite.com. Eventbrite, EVENTBRITE. And I think $15. Not a bad price. Eventbrite, August 12th, Saturday, Thursday the 17th, Saturday the 19th. And then, of course, you'll want to see the other great Fringe shows at 277 Taylor Street, the San Francisco Fringe Festival. Okay, that was our commercial. This is Emil, Amok's Takeout, my takes on all things considerable. I'm here Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. or thereabouts Pacific time, talking about the news that grabbed my eye during the day. And we talk about it. It's traditional news talk. You can catch it on Twitter at Emil Amok. Maybe soon on Threads. Maybe soon I'll put it on Threads. Although the limit is like 5 minutes. I put it on Facebook at emilguillermo.media and on YouTube at Emil Amok 1. So that's where you catch the show. Oh, replays on amok.com, and my website is back up. So catch it on amok.com. amok.com. And now it's meditation time. You know, I like to meditate, and because it really is like it's like the way to feel good about yourself, to bring you into the moment. And Lord knows you need that. And sometimes I use the meditations of Marianne Williamson, who bases her whole thing on A Course in Miracles. And if you don't know A Course in Miracles, I think you can get it on Kindle. I mean, the daily 365 course, that's what you should take. And I've done it a couple of times. It's been helpful. It's been calming. It's non-sectarian. It's kind of a little, it's a little spirituality, Christianity that was created by Jews who had a healthy respect for all the other Buddhistic, Hindu religions, spiritual. So it's this amalgam of things. And Marianne Williamson she's kind of traded on this, and she has her own thing now on Substack called Transformation with Marianne Williamson. Now, I don't know if she's the best person to be president, but I read these meditations and I think if our leaders, if our country used these meditations, I think we'd be better off. So today, for July 6th, it's a simple one-sentence thing. Today, I see the miracle in all things. Even people creating that crisis in the southern border, even that dummy Ron DeSantis and that homophobic videotape he put out, even Hunter Biden, even the guy who brought the baggie of cocaine in the White House, they don't know who that is. But today I see the miracle in all things. The miracle. The miracle in all things is like seeing the positive. Maybe the miracle is in Ron DeSantis stops sending poor migrants on buses to places like Boston or Sacramento. Maybe the miracle is Donald Trump says, hey, this indictment stuff, I'm guilty. I don't want to fight anymore. I'll do my time. I'm going to devote my attention to my Trump library, the greatest comic book collection in the world. Forget about 2024. I mean, that would be a miracle. Or maybe Joe Biden gets through a speech without mentioning the phrase, it's an inflection point. Today I see the miracle in all things. I mean, that was the meditation today of Marianne Williamson. And then it comes with a little thought, an idea, a meditation. How often I do not notice the miracles all around me, or honor all the kindnesses shown me, or allow myself to fully embrace the good that's already in my life. Today I remember that every day is precious, every heart carries within it the Spirit of God, and every event contains the platform for a miracle. May I not be blind today to the awesomeness of life. May the days be gone when I took for granted all the blessings in my life. May my eyes be open that I might see more beauty. May my ears be open that I might hear more truth. May my spirit be open that I might feel the tender touch of God. Today I see through a different set of eyes that I might recognize the miracles all around me. I see the sparkle of light that surrounds all things and the yearning for love that exists in everyone. I see the innocence beyond guilt and the love beyond all fear. Thus I am reborn in the truth of who I am. Today I see the miracle in all things. I mean, if everyone who called themselves a decent American were to say that little thing, would we be different as a nation? Like I said, I mean, if you don't know Marianne Williamson, I mean, this is from her Substack, Transformation with Marianne Williamson. Check it out. I mean, I just think it's interesting. I've been meditating and doing her Course in Miracles the last couple of years, and I know I'm less amok because I'm more purposefully amok because of her. And if you don't know Marianne Williamson, I invite you. Check out her writing. I mean, she does also write about policy. Policy is a little trickier, but if we had leaders who actually believed in something and believed in some kind of spirituality outside of that Christian right movement, which believes in taking away rights from people, maybe we'd have a different nation, a different country. Just putting it out there. And so, I usually end with my metta meditation, the loving kindness. You know how it goes. And so, as I wish for me, I wish for you. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. And may you live with ease. Emil Guillermo here. Hey, eventbrite.com. Get those tickets. August 12th, 17th, and 19th. Thank you for joining me. Really, thank you. Not even from the bottom of my heart, just from all of it, because the bottom, why wait, right? I mean, just thank you. Thank you for being here. We're here Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific, live. If you missed any or all, just use your fingers, go back on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Till next time. Mahal Kita.